Hello grade 12, welcome to our fourth lesson of geography ITP tutorials. Today we are looking at part 2 of our tropical cyclones. Now I'd already given you an idea of what we're going to be doing today on our previous lesson. So without further ado, let's get started. So namhlanje we're going to be looking at the stages of development. We're going to look at the 4 stages of development in our tropical cyclones, and next we're going to look at associated weather patterns. Now within the tropical cyclones, what kind of weather conditions do we experience there? Number 3, we're going to look at the impacts of tropical cyclones. When we look at the impacts, it's very important to know that it's going to be mostly negative effects. We're going to look at the negative effects of tropical cyclone. Number 2, pay attention to that. In fact, at all effects or impacts, when we talk about our impacts of geography, we're always going to look at how they affect the environment, the environmental effects, economical effects, and social effects. After we have looked at the negative effects of tropical cyclones, obviously now we have to come up with strategies of how we can deal with these negative effects. Right, so these 4 images depict the stages of a tropical cyclone, from the first one, which is known as the initial stage, the second one being the immature stage, third one being the mature, then this one being the dissipating stage. Ngifuna ukuthi usibheke lezi ithombe zo4 njengamanje please, bese uyangitshela ukuthi from stage 1 to stage 2 yini entsha usuyibona ku stage 2, from stage 2 to stage 3 yini entsha uyibona ku stage 3 engekho ku stage 2, bese ku stage 4 yini uyibona lapho ku stage 4 engekho ku stage 3. Okay, just pause right now and look at that. Kwamanje ngizobe ngiqhubeka mina. Right, so this is our first stage, the initial stage. This is where a cyclone is still starting. It is at a beginning stage. First of all, what you should not remember, when we talked about the conditions necessary for a cyclone, we talked about high temperatures. Now, where there are high temperatures, we're going to have an updraft of warm air. This warm air, because it's in the ocean, it contains moisture. Secondly, because now we've got evaporation, we are losing air within the Earth's surface. Because we are losing air, the pressure is going to drop. That's why we're saying the low pressure intensifies, but still it's above 1000 HP. Now I need to put a star here, because I'm going to tell you about the pressure level up until our third stage. Right, the pressure gradient is going to steepen. Like I said before, we had a pressure of something like this, here being at about 30 degrees, here being our 5 degrees where the cyclone is beginning. Right, the more a pressure continues to drop here, we're going to have something that is steep like this. Then this is what a pressure gradient becoming steep mean. Now if the pressure gradient becomes steep, the more air is going to flow towards the cyclone. Because the pressure gradient is now steep, the more convergence increases towards that 5 degrees. The more air goes towards that 5 degree. Now that's what this pressure gradient is going to do. So because of that, again, the vortex, the rotation of the cyclone now is going to begin. Look at our first bullet there, the strong updraft of warm air. Where is that air going to? It contains moisture. Where is it going to? Very good. So it's going to the atmosphere to form clouds. This is where we say cirrus and cumulus clouds are going to form. These are smaller clouds compared to the cumulonimbus clouds that I've been telling you guys about from our first lesson. These ones are much smaller. Therefore, we're going to have light rainfalls. Fine. This is stage 2 now. This is stage 2. Remember what I said about the pressure on the previous stage? I said the pressure is still above 1000 HPA Doppler scales. In stage 2, the pressure is dropped. It has intensified. Now it's less than 1000 HPA. While that has happened, the air continues to rotate in our cyclone, but now the storm is still small in size. You can see when you look at this cyclone here, it started rotating, but it's still small when it comes to the size of it. Then converging air continues to rise. Remember what I told you in the previous lesson? I said in a low pressure, we've got converging air. Converging air start to rise and they're converging area. This is our low pressure. So this is what happens. It continues to converge, causing the air to rise in the atmosphere. What happens in the atmosphere is that we've got divergence, because umoya here at the Earth's surface, it's light, therefore it's rising. Remember what do you know about the temperature? The more you go up, the colder it becomes. So ngenkathi umoya ulokhu yaphezulu, it becomes colder and colder, right? So that's why lapha phezulu we're going to have divergence. So at the Earth's surface, we've got convergence. Then in the atmosphere, we've got divergence. Is it clear? Good. Right, then there are spiral bands of clouds and light rain within our cyclone. As you can see here, we've got the spiral bands of these clouds as well as rainfall. You remember what I told you about the three things that rotate in our cyclone. Very important to note about the immature stage, guys, is that there is no eye here. The eye is not clear. If you look at the center of a cyclone here, the eye is not clear. So even if a diagram comes out in an exam or activity or whatever it is, if there's no eye in a cyclone, it's not the mature stage. In our next stage, the mature stage, the air pressure now. So in stage 1, we said it's above 1000 HPA. In stage 2, we said it's below 1000 HPA. In stage 3, the mature state, it's now even lesser. It's less than 950 HPA. It has dropped even more. The cyclone forms a strong vortex system. It now rotates even faster. Some air sinks into the eye. That's why in the previous lesson we said the eye experiences calm conditions. Let me explain why. Again, we said that the cyclone is converging, is rising. The more goes up, the colder it becomes. So what does cold air do? Cold air sinks. So some of the air starts to come back and sink right here within the eye. That's what we mean by some air sinking to that, because it's now colder. Right. Cumulonimbus clouds produce heavy rainfall because of the continuous updraft of warm air. Cumulonimbus clouds now have eventually formed, which these are larger clouds, hence they are going to cause heavy rainfalls. The size of the storm has increased, now larger, because we've identified that this is a huge cyclone. It is at a fully developed stage because it has the eye. We show some respect. This is when the cyclone is given a name. Okay, because we're sure now what the cyclone has reached the fully developed stage. Very important to note. At the previous stage, we saw there's no clear eye. At this stage, we start to give it a name. Let me go back in stage 1. So just something you should know, but not that important. So in stage 1, a cyclone, guys, we can just call it a depression. It's sometimes called just a depression. Then in stage 2, this is when we call it a storm. It's not necessary to call a cyclone in stage 2 a cyclone, okay? Then in stage 3, this is when now, because it's a fully developed cyclone, we call it a cyclone. And we give it a name. Let's look at our 4th stage, the degeneration stage now, where a cyclone is dissipating. The cyclone has been moving from our 5-degree now towards the 30-degree latitude, where it is much cooler. Hence, the cyclone is going to decay because they're reaching the land and they're reaching cooler waters. I told you in the previous lesson, when it reaches the land, it experiences friction, and then now it's no longer receiving the heat it requires to continue to develop. It's going to decay. Air pressure at the center rises because now the cyclone is decaying. The pressure now is going to increase because the cyclone is dissipating. The eye disappears. As you can see, it's no longer clear. The eye is no longer clear now. The wind speed is going to drop, but because the clouds are already there in the atmosphere, heavy rains are continuing to pour. So those are the 4 stages of a cyclone. If konto right, so let's stop man. It's a tropical cyclone. Getting stars and details, but here's just a fun question for you guys. As being the tropical cyclone, let's look at this tropical cyclone. At which hemisphere is this cyclone at? The northern or the southern hemisphere? Pause right now and remember. Okay, I'm going to show a little answer. But anyways, now a clue, guys. You can see the cyclone is rotating this way. Hence, it is at which hemisphere? the northern hemisphere. Good. Let us look at associated weather patterns of a tropical cyclone now. So in the tropical cyclone, we have high speed winds, guys. There are strong winds because of the pressure. The continuous declining of the pressure in a tropical cyclone causes very, very strong winds because of that pressure gradient that becomes steep. Okay, the violent winds, the winds that are very violent. Uzobona when you look at the impacts ukuthi muphi umonakalo enziwayo lawo ama-winds lawo. Now the tall cumulus and cumulonimbus clouds result in heavy rainfalls. Okokugcina, we've got a temporary rise in sea levels close to the coast. Here are some of the things you need to know about a tropical cyclone. First of all, they occur in late summer. They mostly occur in late summer. And here is the sign that we use now when we are drawing a tropical cyclone. So if we're drawing a tropical cyclone with synoptic weather method, these are your isobars. Sorry. Bese ukuthi la center ke kwenziwa kanje. You know what this is a tropical cyclone if it has got that sign. Okay, the isobars are close to each other, which shows that we've got a steep pressure gradient. The cyclone wind speeds are high and they are spiral in the clockwise direction only in the southern hemisphere though. Isithombe secyclone yethu le osibuka la and the sign that I just told you about, the symbol. Let us look at the impacts now for a tropical cyclone. You already know everything now associated with the tropical cyclone as per my impacts, man. First of all, we're going to have sudden rise in sea levels because of heavy rainfalls brought by a tropical cyclone. We're going to have a rise in sea levels close to the coast. Here's what we're talking about. You can see we're going to have heavy rainfalls that are going to cause this. Then, because of heavy rainfalls again, we're going to have flooding as a result of storm edges and heavy rains. Here's what we're talking about, the flooding I'm talking about. You can imagine the damage that it causes. Basically, we've got outbreak of waterborne diseases because when there's flooding, everything lapho uyahamba emfuleni. Let's say now, leyo flooding leyo, it contains waste from urban areas. People throw their diapers there. Everything is there in that water that is flooding. Eventually end up in rivers, in dams, and so on. God imagine the thing is that water in the rivers and dams is drank by people. Hence, it's going to result in waterborne diseases. Disruption of tourism and agriculture. Here you can see some of the damage caused by heavy rainfall. This is a farm, guys. This is a farm, but look at the damage that has been caused by water. Loss of lives, people are going to die. It's going to take people's houses because of strong winds and rainfalls. Look at the damage caused by a cyclone here. People are going to die. Some people are going to drown there. Damages to infrastructure, as you can see, people's buildings have been damaged. Bridges may collapse. So these are some of the impacts of a tropical cyclone. We can go on, but we're just going to look at these 6 for one month. Right, now let's look at the strategies. Our strategies, yes, we've got precautionary and management strategies. Precautionary is what is it that we can do before a cyclone arrives. Then when we look at the management strategies, this is what we can do after a cyclone has arrived and caused damage. How do we manage the situation? In precautionary measures, we can track the cyclone now. We've got satellites that can track the cyclone. Hence, we can inform people that the cyclone is coming so that they can prepare for it. We can put evacuation plans in place where now we are planning when the cyclone comes, we're going to have to take people from in places along the coast because those are the places that are going to be hit hard by a tropical cyclone. Informing the public of the risk and evacuation procedures so that they know exactly what they're expected to do when the cyclone arrives. Let us look at the management strategies. Cyclone has occurred, it has hit people's houses, it has caused flooding and so on. It has killed some people. What do we do to rescue people from flooded areas? Those flooded areas, we are rescuing them. Then emergency relief, such as provision of food, because people's houses would have been destroyed. They don't have food, they don't have shelters, they don't have water. We need to provide them with such. Aid from developed countries to developing countries. developed countries can come in now and help people in the developing countries. Right, now this is the end of our lesson, guys. I hope you managed to learn a lot from this lesson, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.